Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to understand query parameters in FastAPI. Query parameters are extremely common in real-world APIs, especially when filtering the data, if you want to implement pagination, uh, searching, controlling API behavior. So, from the developer or from data science perspective, we will use query parameters a lot when exposing data or machine learning results. So the first question which comes into our mind is what are query parameters? Query parameters are key value pairs that comes after the question mark in a URL. So let me show you an example. So if you look at this particular part, so let's say if we have something called as datascientist.com employees slash ABC. So till this employee part is a part of the path parameter, but anything after this question mark, including this question mark, is called as the query parameters. So, uh, so query parameters which we can are basically optional by default. It is used for filtering, pagination, and configuration purpose. It's not a part of the URL structure. So as I told, it's optional by default. It totally depends upon you that whether you want to specify it not, and it depends upon the business need how we are going to structure our backend APIs. So the first example, let me open my VS Code. So first example which I'm going to show. So let me first import the fast API and create the object. So we have this particular code, and now I'm going to create a small employee database. Okay, so let me first stop my terminal. Yeah, it stopped. And then I am going to create a small method. So if you look at this particular method, let me control S, save it. So here you can see we have a specified two query parameters. One is a skip, another one is limit. So, and if you see for both skip and limit, we have defined a certain number of values. So skip has a default value of 0 and limit has a default value of 10. And here in the database, we have four employees, one, two, three, four employees. So what will happen if we are going to run this? So let me first clear it, clear and enter. Now let me specify clear set optional parameter query parameters. Yes, query parameters, enter. I will show you when by running this code. Let me click on this one. So this is opened. So now since we have defined two query parameters, so I will just provide them. Question mark skip. Skip is equal to, let's say if I keep at 1 and then ampersand and then I'm going to put limit. Limit is equal to 2 and enter. So it's going to give me so it is giving me 0. Okay, so I have forgot this particular part. Employees, I have forgot the employee part. Let me put it there because employees is also there. So go back and let me enter it. So you can see here it has provided two values and it has skipped the first one. So if you look at the database, so it has skipped the sort of part and then it has displayed the Richard and Sean. So this is how you can enter the query parameters. Earlier it was showing not found because I forgot the path parameter. So employees is also a part of the path parameters. So this way you can if let's say if I put a skip is equal to 0, let's say if I put skip is equal to 0, so it's going to show me the first two records, Saurav and Richard. So let's say if I put skip is equal to 2, like I want to display also 2, limit as value as 2, and skip is equal to 2. And if I enter it, so then it's going to show me Sean and Timo of last record. So, so, so basically what's happening here is, so it's whenever we provide the query parameters here, skip and limit are being converted into an integers. It sliced the employee list accordingly. So this kind of a method or a pattern is widely used for the purpose of pagination when you are dealing with a huge amount of data set. And now we are going to look into the other example where we are going to have optional query parameters. Like if you want to provide query parameters, but it should be in optional in nature. So how to do that? So let me first import the code. So I have imported the code, and then this is the method I have created. So in this method, what we are doing, we are provided a query parameter, uh, which is q, and it has been specified as a str none, which means that if the query parameter is specified, it should be string in nature, or otherwise the none shows that it is optional. If you're not providing, then also it's not going to be a problem. So yeah, and this employee name is a part of the path parameter. So let me save this one and control control C. Let me do control C to stop this one. Code was already running, and now let us run the this particular part. We have the optional query parameters. Optional query parameters. Let me put enter. Now let me open this particular code. Yes, now we have specified the optional query parameters, so we can specify the things request like I can just provide employees slash sort of enter. I have not provided any query parameter because since the query parameter is optional. Now in the next example, what we can do, we can also provide it the query parameter. So query parameter is q. So q is equal to, let's say if I provide one and enter, so it's going to take one as a string. Now if I provide q is equal to engineer, not this one, sorry, not this example. Yeah, if I provide q is equal to engineer, so it's going to give me q is equal to engineer. So, so this is basically what's happening here is that the fast API is automatically detecting whether the queue was provided or not, and based upon that, it provides the result. So it handles the missing values safely, and it's the optional query parameters are extremely useful for the search, filters, and feature toggles, and ML inference configuration purposes. Now let's see the third example where let me stop this particular code, and now we are going to see the type conversion in the query parameters. So I'm going to provide the code. Let me import the code first. It's the same process again and again. Now I'm going to write down the code for the method for getting this for providing the type, showing you the type conversion. So here what's happening here is like we have introduced a boolean um, query parameter. So boolean parameter is false. You see here the f is capital here. So even if we provide anything like in any case, okay, it's going to give us the proper result. So let me show you with an example. So let me run this particular code. Sometimes the VS Code takes some time to load. So parameters type conversion. Let me do enter. Yes, let me run this particular code URL. Now here what's happening here is like if I said say if I provide something like this after the so I have provided the employees short and short is equal to true. So you see here t is being small here. So then it's going me to give me by default it is taking t is equal to capital. It's going showing the it's not showing any record is being present, but the status code here is 200. Okay. Now let's say if I provide uh, it's as equal to false. So you see false, it's giving us a description. That is what our logic is. Like if it is false, then provide the description of that employee. And employees, this is the employee. Okay. And let's say if I try to provide, so even if I provide something like this, where I'm also using the optional query parameters, q is equal to engineer, then also it's going to give me, it's showing the uh, q is equal to false. Okay. So this is how this is being done. Okay. So basically what's happening here is like whether you, irrespective of true, it is going to, whether you type whether you let me show you whether you type true like this, it's going to convert it into true. Whether if you type it like this, false is equal to like f is in small, false is going to get it converted into this capital letter. So it doesn't care like about the case. Okay, this controls whether we return a short response or a detailed response based upon the logic which we have provided. So this pattern is commonly used in the production APIs. So this was an example of type conversion. Now let me close this one, Control C, and let me save this code. Now, in the next example is where we are going to talk about the multiple query parameters. So let me show you the example. So as usual, I'm going to initialize the fast API, and then this is the method here. So this method, what we are doing to do, we have multiple queries defined here. So if you look at this particular example, so we have multiple path parameters. We have the employee name, we have the department name. You see here employee name and department name. They are part of the path parameters. And then also we have a query parameters, multiple query parameters. So you see here query parameters is a queue, which is either in the integer type, whether it's a data type is in string or it is a none. Okay, or it can also have a short one more boolean query parameters. So let me save this particular file, and let me run this. Let me first clear it, and now we are going to see how it works. Yeah, so let me run this particular code, and I will show you. So So we have something called as employees, and then we have the employee name, and then we have the department, and then the department name. So something like this. You see this example? So we have the employees, then employee name, then department, and the department name is IT, and then we have the um, query parameters after the question mark. Okay, so let me run this. So it's showing not found. Okay, so let's say if I put it as a false. So it's automatically going to take show false. Okay. So let's say if I put q is equal to, let me remove this optional parameters. I will put it like this and I put it enter. So it's going to show me false. Okay. Let me do it is true. So it's going to show me details not found. Okay. So this is how it is being defined. Okay. It totally depends upon you how you have to always provide a the employee's name, then you have see employee name, department name, and then whatever query which you have, which is being provided. So let's say if I provided it as a false, enter, it's showing not found. Okay, so you have to do it like this way. So basically, what's happening here is like it extracts the fast API extracts the path parameters from the URL, parses query parameters automatically, and validates the and converts the types accordingly. Okay. So now let me show you one example where we get some results from this one. So let's say we have department. Okay, let me go to this one. We have department, we have employees, sort of department IT and question mark, and Q is equal to lead. Okay. So it is going showing me 400. So let me try to put it here in the docs. Swagger UI, and let me put it here. So employee name, let me try it out. Employee name, let's I put it as Saurav. Department name as mm, mm, IT, and string value, which is let's say we can keep it as null also. And let me execute it. So our result will be this department name IT. This is an amazing item that has a long description. If I put it as false, if I had to put it as true, and if I execute it, then also it's going to give me this detail. So yeah, and if you see here, we are getting the results accordingly. Okay, so that's how, and we can also provide Q here, Q as a engineer, and then try to execute it. So it's giving me the result also. Okay, so it's giving me the result 200 also. So this way we can check it. Okay, in the Swagger UI also you can check the importance of this. So basically what's happening here is like a past API. It extracts the path parameters also from the URL, parses query parameters also automatically, and validates and convert types accordingly. And this structure is very common when we are building APIs for the enterprises. Now let me stop this one. And in the last example, we are going to talk about query parameters with validation, with string validation. So let me first write down the code. So here we are using the annotated from the typing, and this is the method which we are going to put. So this is the method which we have defined. Now here what's happening is like this is I think this is one of the very strong feature of Fast API. So query here, the query is used to define constraints. You can see here, query is being defined to constraint. Like we have provided that, okay, it should be minimum. The query length value should be minimum 5 and maximum length should be 50. Okay. So basically minimum length and maximum length are enforcing the validation rules. So if the user, let's say if he sends um, something like which a kind of a we have provided it as a string, and if it provided something like this, um, let's say if it provides something like this, q is equal to abc, then it's going to give us a automatic, it will going to give me as a validation error. Okay, because the reason here is that we have provided the minimum length as 5 and maximum length as 50, and the length of this particular here is 3 only query parameters. So it should have be between something around 5 and 50. That is the minimum value and the maximum value we have provided. So, uh, so let me show you with an example. So let me run this particular code. Enter. So this is the URL, and now I'm going to slash q is equal to abc. So you can see here I'm getting this error. String is too short because we have already provided the minimum and maximum length of 5 and 10, 5 and 50. So let's say if I provide something around something like this, uh, and then enter. So it's going to give me an error that employee name is this and query parameter is this, because this is minimum 50. But if I let's say if I go beyond the 50 mark, let's say if I put something like very much high number of let me, I think it's above 50 or not, but let me type it. Maybe it's going to be above 50 now, and let me enter it. So it's showing that string is too long because we have defined the maximum as a 50 characters. So so basically, it's like we don't need to. What's the advantage of this string validation is like putting the limit is like it automatically checks, validates. So we don't need to manually provide the checks. Okay, it's a more cleaner code, and even in Swagger UI, you will get this validation. I can show you in the Swagger UI also. Let me click on this one. Let me click here and try it out. So here, let's say if I put uh, small q value, let's say t, so it's going to give me a validation and a string too short. You can see here string too short. But if I put something like very much high, like I showed you. Okay, I think it should be above now. If I execute it, so it's going to give me string too long because it's going to maximum length is 50. So this is why query validation is important. It prevents any kind of a bad input, improves the API reliability, and it's critical for those kind of data involving in machine learning where the input quality matters. Okay, so this was all about this video. If you like this video, please share and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please write it down in the comment section. Um, and see you in the next video. Thanks everyone for watching.